Alright, this time around I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a function called blend if. If you're not familiar with it, it's some pretty interesting possibilities. And what I'm going to do here is just show you the basic concept, not try to come up with some great work of art, because as you know by now, if you've seen my movies, I often don't. I like to just show you the concept instead of attempting to dazzle you with my brilliance in artwork, since I really don't have any of that. So here's the basic idea. I'm going to add a new layer above this photo. I already have another layer I'm going to use to show you something a little bit later. I'm going to fill that layer with white. Since my background color is white, I'll press Command Delete on the Mac, which would be, of course, Control Backspace on Windows. And we're going to go to our filter menu and use Render Difference Clouds. And that will make a random cloudy pattern. I'm going to press Command or Control F to repeat it, and then throw in the Option key. In this case, Command Option F, which would be Control Alt F on Windows, makes what you might call angrier clouds, more dramatic clouds. You want to get some definite areas of black and white, something like this. Let's just do one more to say, yeah, that's fine. So, to get to blend if, you have two possibilities. One is to go here under the layer styles options to where it says blend options, or you can just double click on the layer itself, and that will also launch into the overall layer styles, including blend if. So here's our layer style dialog box. It's the regular layer style with the drop shadow and so on, but because we're in blend options, it has this part at the bottom. That's where we're going to focus on, where it says blend if. And we're currently using the default, which is gray. So it's using shades of gray. I'm going to move this over a little bit more so basically we can just see this important part here. So you see there's a couple of options. This layer, underlying layer. If I take this layer and I drag the black triangle, that's like saying make anything black, or as I get into shades of darker gray, make that part see-through. If I go to the white triangle, it's going to say make anything white or different lighter and darker, slightly darker shades of gray see-through. In this case, because there's not really any pure white, I have to go pretty far to start to get the effect. Now, the only thing that you'll find is when you do this, as you can see here, the edges often look very jagged and not very attractive. So this triangle can actually be split in two. If you hold down the Option or Alt key and drag, now you see how I'm getting a much nicer transition. It's going to say make these shades completely see-through, make these shades visible, and everything else in between gradual. So I can do the same thing on the white end. Start to pull into the light shades of gray, and then hold down Option Alt and split the triangle and get some kind of shading there. So that's one option. The other option is to do exactly the same thing, but the other way around. Instead of making the top layer see-through, make the bottom layer show-through. So as I pull the black triangle, in this case, is going to make anything on the underlying layer, which is darkly colored, start to show through. And the same thing, I can split the triangles to make it more gradual. Something like this. And I can do the same thing on the white end. Anything that's very lightly colored. And look at that. I mean, you can start to see already some really interesting possibilities. I didn't really have any plan in mind as I was doing this, but you can start to see that's already some interesting things, and I can't imagine how else you could do that in Photoshop as you can here. So that's the basic idea. Just to show you there's so many different possibilities, let's throw away that layer. Now, in the last week or so on the NAP member site, Daryl Heath showed a little tutorial on how to create color halftones, or I should say use the color halftone filter. So let's apply the same theory now to that layer. I'll go to blending options. It'll bring back in our layer style box with the blend if, and let's do the same thing. Underlying layer, start to pull that in a little bit, split it with the Option or Alt key. Same thing on the white end, start to bring it in a little bit and then split it. And then we'll go the same thing on the top. Move the triangle. Actually, we'll probably leave this one and just pull it just a hair. Well, actually, you know what? We'll probably leave it just as is and pull this side in a fair bit and then split it quite a bit. Now, in this same dialog box, you can also be the equivalent of going to this blend mode. So you could go into blend modes like overlay or soft light. I mean, again, the possibilities are endless, but you can see how you can start to get some pretty interesting effects just by playing around with it. And the bottom line is, like a lot of things with layers, if you ever change your mind, you just have to double click to get back to it. It'll bring the dialog box right where you left it, so you can say, I'd like to experiment, see what happens now if I pull this slider, and the answer is apparently it takes it away completely, so we probably don't want to do that. But again, you get the idea that you can just start to play around. Experimentation is the key, like a lot of my techniques I like to show you, and the possibilities really are endless here. It's a very interesting possibility. As I said, and as the case with most of my techniques, the key to this is experimentation. The more you play with this, you just never know what you might start to see when you start blending photos together. It might even change the look of your photo quite dramatically. I was Dave Cross. I'll see you next time.